I am absolutely filming this video at the exact same time that I filmed my January wrap-up, so I'm wearing the exact same clothes. Don't judge me. So, I have 5 physical books that I'm reading, for sure. I got all of these, like, physically. And then the other ones are kind of up in the air, depending on if I get them within the next month from my library. Starting from the author that everyone expects me to read every month this year, Brandon Sanderson. I'm going to read Firefight, which I always want to call Fireflight, so I have to check every time I say it. I read Steelheart, I think, in 2018, and then I couldn't find Fireflight at a library, and I couldn't find it secondhand, and I really I don't know. I was more interested in reading other works from Brandon Sanderson, like going through his adult fantasy backlog rather than catch up on the series. So Firefight kind of fell to the wayside, but I'm going to read it now. And I've heard a lot of people say that this is Brandon Sanderson's weakest series, and that might be true. A lot of people did not like David. I liked him. And also, one of the main characters' name is Megan. My name is Megan. The next one I'm reading is because it's been hyped up a lot, and the cover is just stunning, and that is the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which is too similar to the 7 Lives of Evelyn Hugo. And I feel like they started getting hyped on BookTube at around the same time, which is very confusing for me. But this is a murder mystery, and I'm gonna read it. I've heard it has a very interesting premise of the main character, he is constantly living out the same day from different perspectives, and he has to be the first person to guess who killed Evelyn Hardcastle. So it's a murder mystery done somehow I've never seen it done, so I'm super interested to read it. It's quite long for a murder mystery, so we shall see. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a comment on it. The cover's pretty. We're gonna read this book. So, one of the first books I read in 2019 was Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. And then I did not pick up Wind Witch until now. I didn't own it. I bought it with a gift card I got for Christmas because after reading a lot of young adult fantasy books over the past year and getting into this year, I was like, I need to return to this series because I miss it so much. I was kind of putting it off because I was hoping to finish it when the series was finished, but I can't do it any longer. So we're going to read Wind Witch, and then maybe I can wait a whole year and have a whole year's worth of patience to read Blood Witch, and then maybe by then we'll have a release date for the 4th book, because otherwise I think I'll go insane. The next book is another one that I've seen hyped up on BookTube, mostly from booktubers who have very similar taste to me, and by that I mean fantasy booktubers, as I like to think of them. That is not at all, I think, how they think of themselves. But booktubers who read primarily adult fantasy have really highly rated The Lies of Locke Lamora, so I'm gonna give it a shot. I've heard that the character relationships in this are really well done, and that it's kind of got a twisty, intricate plot, and that is the kind of book I'm trying to write right now. So Gimli is gonna just throw stuff around because of course he is, he's a cat. But anyway, I'm trying to write a twisty, intricate plot, so I'm gonna read more twisty, intricate plots because I'm not sure I can pull it off unless I read a bunch of other people do it. And then the 5th physical book I own is Stormfront by Jim Butcher, which is probably the worst name you could ever have for a book, but he's fine. He's fine. People are buying his books no matter what. People love the Dresden Files. And I want to love the Dresden Files too. Can you tell that I really like fantasy murder mysteries? Those are my two like top genres, is fantasy and murder mystery. So yeah, I'm reading, you know, if you can combine that in any way, you have got me hooked. I've heard that Harry Dresden is a really appealing protagonist, and it's got like dark occulty magic to it, and it's a fantasy murder mystery. Art. Perfect. I'm gonna read this. Then, the only book that I actually have from my library, so I'm guaranteed to read it within the next 2 weeks, this is a lipstick, is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. And I was interested to read this book because I absolutely freaking adored Descendant of the Crane by Joan He. And I saw her just hyping Spin the Dawn up on Twitter because I think she's friends with the author or whatever, or maybe it's because they're both like featuring an Asian based like a cast with an Asian inspired world building. I don't know, I haven't read Spin the Dawn yet, but it says it was like Mulan meets Project Runway. Who is not intrigued by that like mashup? Like who? What? And because I loved Descendant of the Crane so much, I will just blindly listen to any recommendation that that author puts out into the universe. So I'm going to read Spin the Dawn. And I already have it from my library, so it's a guaranteed read. The other 2 books that I want to read this month that are kind of contingent on me getting them from the library are Woven in Moonlight and A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I really want to read them, but I'm on hold from my library, so those books might or might not end up in my wrap-up at the end of the month, and if they don't come through this month, then it'll just come down to like I just randomly pick other books I will read this month. But those are the 6 books that I am for sure going to read, and it's just kind of up in the air what other 3 to 4 books I read this month. So if you have any like suggestions, you're just dying for me to read this month, like throw it my way. I'm super here to read it. Oh, I'm also gonna read David Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, which I am reading because my mom is asking me to. So I'm gonna read it. I got the audiobook. It's a slow start, but you know, if David Ramsey turns me into a millionaire, come back to this video. I just read that book. I'll let you know. I'll sing his praises. So we'll see if he makes me into a millionaire or not. We're gonna go on that journey together. But either way, I will read that book this month as well. So I guess I've got 7 books I plan on reading this month, but I want to read 9 or 10. So we'll see where I end up in that nebulous cloud of who knows. I'm guaranteed to read at least those 7 books this month, and you will have to wait until the end of the month to see what books I actually end up reading.